What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be showing how to make the frog zoo enclosure. Here it is in all of its, I don't know, frogginess. Whoa, jumping at me. And here's the inside of it. I guess I'd say not really a ton, but there's a lot going on, I would say, overall. But anyway, that is all. So with that being said, enjoy the tutorial, and I will catch you on the flip side. Alrighty, so the space for me for this is an 18 by 16, and the materials you need to start off are clay, lime terracotta, black stained glass pens, oak planks, dark oak doors should probably get that. I was gonna just like not do that yet, but might as well. Orange terracotta, light gray terracotta, yellow terracotta, and block of coal. So you should know the drill here. If you have the previous ones, you're just going to start basically from them and count, I guess, left by 3, and then you're going to go still left with 2 clay, or you're going to start from the front right hand corner of your 18 by 16 grid golf minute. You count it back by 1 and place going left 2 clay, and then from there you're going to place 14 black stained glass panes, and then 2 more clay. Extend the rightmost clay, the first one you would have placed, back with a dark oak door, and then an additional 13 clay. And then the furthest left clay back by 14. Connect the back clays together, and then extend every single clay up by an additional 1. And I guess you can bring the black stained glass panes up by 1 as well. Hopefully everyone is having a good day or night. I am for the most part. And I keep forgetting I have these built for some reason. I don't know why. I was like, what can I record other than the other thing that I did, which would have been Secret Neighbor. And I was like, oh yeah, this exists. I only remember because I flew by. You want to place 6 rows of lime terracotta on top of the clay from there, which includes the dark oak door. Don't bring up the panes this time, because they only really go to basically like they go 5 rows rather than 6, which I guess if you wanted to bring it then you could, but we're gonna do it a specific way. We're just gonna save the panes for later, basically. What is nice about these two is since they're all pretty much this, I mean the same shape wise, you can always look over and just make sure that you have the correct height and such for like this part. I've got a feeling at some point I'm gonna have some weird change though for 1, but I don't know. I keep seeing, because I have my alt account over there so I can build. You may see the name. Yeah, you can see the name tag if I get closer. I just like keep seeing the frogs jump out of my peripherals. It's kind of cursed. You're going to take the lime here at the front at the top row specifically and extend it in an additional 1. You'll then extend those rows of 3 up and in an additional 2 times on both sides. So 1 and then 2. And then from there, you'll actually connect those limes together. Place an additional row of lime terracotta on top of that one that gets 1 shorter on either side. From this point, if you take the right side, this like top of the top row, I guess, you'll leave the first 2 open and then place going over from this one 2 oak planks. Then you can actually get rid of your dark oak door and get out regular terracotta and place 3 regular terracotta and then 2 oak planks. Extend that whole thing down with 2 full rows of oak planks. In addition, extend the oak planks here up with regular terracotta. And then extend those terracottas up with orange terracotta, and then the center row at 3 you'll extend up with 2 orange each. Extend the bottom 2 rows, well I guess, yeah, the bottom 2 rows of oak back by 2 rows. Technically I guess the second row up the bottom where you'll bring back by 2. Instead of breaking through the lime, you'll just bring it up by 1 at the back. And then at the back above that, you'll place a row of light gray terracotta and then 2 more rows of orange. I'll connect the orange at these sides and top just to fill it all in. from this point, if you take the front, well, actually, if you take the back, you're going to extend the leftmost 3 and rightmost 3 orange up an additional 2 rows. That is... Oh, that's cursed. You're going to take the bottom row of orange out of those 2, and the inner ones you'll bring forward with a yellow terracotta, and then the outer 2 you'll bring forward with block of coal. Can't tell if that's more cursed or less cursed. You'll place a row of orange terracotta on top of that, and it'll finally not look so cursed. Since it's off-centered and that is fairly obvious, we have a way to sort of combat that. It still makes it off-centered, just makes it less obvious. The 3 lime terracotta on this top row to the left, you're going to place orange terracotta on top of. You're doing a couple things with this orange. You're extending it down diagonally forward a row, and then of that row of 3, the right 2 will be brought down. You're also extending that row back a row, and then down a row. And that's just like one of his hands. You could add the other one if you wanted, but then that kind of, I guess, defeats the purpose of being off-centered. I guess you could have it like grabbing here or something. Like that might look interesting if you do like that maybe. Or even on the diagonal angle, but that's a little bit more weird to figure out. Anyway, the black stained glass panes now you can bring up to just fill in the front of this. And then we'll be almost done the outside. These are so easy. I guess after you've built like, what was it, 16 in the other rows, so 17, 18, I guess this will be number 19. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 19. Well, I guess for me it'd be number 39 actually, since I have an extra one built over there. Anyway, if you get rid of, I guess, your oak planks and terracotta and get out black stained glass blocks, and what was the other thing? Oh yeah, polished basalt. You want to start by breaking the blocks underneath the black stained glass panes and filling them in with sideways polished basalt. You're then going to bring the like outer lime terracottas, or where they would be of the like arch here on the front, bringing them back with black stained glass, and then in line with the actual back you'll just place lime terracotta. Again, you should be able to follow the shape here. It's really 3 diagonals, and then the third diagonal up will connect together on these sides. So just like this. And then you'll also fill in the lime just in this little area below it, the little trapezoid shape you're left with. And yeah, then we can do the inside, which is really going to be a lot of just kind of, maybe you want to place a plant here, maybe you don't. It's not like entirely 100% specific. I'll show you some of it specifically, like the stone rock and the log and stuff, but as for like plant placement, I'll just be like, maybe. Anyway, you should have that. Head inside and you can clear your inventory and get out the following. Hold on, give me like 2 seconds. Podzol. Coarse dirt. Stone slabs. Stone blocks. Cobblestone. Composter. Spruce trapdoors. Water buckets. And we'll leave the last slot open. So first thing you want to do is you mark out the pool or the pond, I think, first, because there's no reason in filling the entire floor with podzol and having to go back and break it all again. So from the front left-hand grass, you're going to break 4 extending back, including that one, obviously. Then from the backmost one, you'll break back diagonally right by 2. Right. Back diagonally right 2. Right. Forward diagonally right. Right 3. Forward diagonally right. Forward 3. Forward diagonally left, and then forward. I'm going to break all of the area inside of this. You will also want to break another block down and fill in in that layer with coarse dirt. Which I guess is perfectly normal that I broke that block on accident then, because it doesn't really matter anyway. Do I have that? Okay. Yeah. Good thing we left the slot, because we need it for 2 reasons here, actually. I thought we only needed it for the door, but we also need it over there where you see the red concrete from here where the grid is. So where you can see the red here, where for you it would just be regular dirt. Basically, just where the clay is, you're going to bring it down an additional row to fill in that gap. The rest of the grass you're just replacing with ponsil, which includes under the dark oak door as I mentioned. So yeah, you want to make sure you keep that there. But yeah, I guess you really can break it all and then fill it since you have the coarse dirt versus the regular dirt anyway, but that kind of just adds an extra step for you to be paying attention to. So I would just honestly not really concern yourself that much with it. As in, I would just break it perfectly as you do it rather than trying to break it all or whatever. But yeah, a little bit of an area. This is cobblestone as well, but I just remembered that, and it also isn't really a huge area. It's like probably 10 blocks at most. So I, again, wouldn't really concern yourself with that one. There's obviously we have the pond. There's the 2 trees I'm gonna plant, which will be the last thing we do out of the mandatory stuff. And then there's obviously the stone little hideout and the log. And that's pretty much it. Fill in the, or just over the coarse dirt, I guess. Fill this area in with water to make it an actual pond. In the back left-hand corner of the build, this very back left-hand block, you want to break and replace with a composter. If you count to the right to the 3rd coarse dirt over, you want to place a stone block. Right of it, a stone slab, and also on top of that block, a slab. Left with a block, and then left with 2 upside-down slabs, each with its slab on top. You will copy that row moving forward 1 more time. The only difference being you don't have the slab on top of the block here. Extend either of the blocks from that row forward again, and then this top block you'll bring left by 2. And then of this row of 3 at the top of the left 2 blocks, you'll extend forward again. Slab to the right, down with a block, and then right with a slab. If you have an elytra on, that is ideal, because you can basically go up against this, and as you're holding down to walk forward, you can jump and then jump again to go into electrify mode, and then you'll just kind of crawl under here. But all the podzol for the flooring here wants to be replaced with cobblestone. You can just break your way in if you don't have an elytra, or do one of the trapdoor tricks where you go whoop, and then go into crawl mode. Be careful when you're doing this though, because especially in Bedrock, you'll see it'll double break whenever you're moving as you're crawling. Not sure why it does that, but you know, it does. Anyway, from the front row of this, you want to leave a gap of 3 extending right, and then you're going to break, I'd say, either 5 or somewhere between 4 and 6, but I'll say 5 pods are going over. And then at the top half of each of those, place spruce trapdoors. Off the front and back of that row, you'll take the podzol on either side and just place spruce trapdoors open in the respective directions. So on the front, they're actually open backwards, and on the back, they're open forwards, which will kind of give you this U shape of trapdoors. A block above and in the middle of those, you're going to place more spruce trapdoors. I preferably have them facing front to back, but they're just going to be kind of over the top here, and you will have to crouch to place this. And you see this gives you a little bit of a log, which they could technically, in theory, walk through. I don't think they will, because the trapdoor is here in the ground, but you can replace them with logs if you want, but I don't think they'll actually, path through this. I don't know, I haven't seen it happen. Well, let me actually see if there's one in there right now. There's not, no. I don't even see any of them. So that's cool. Oh, one's chilling in the water. Okay. Anyway, clear your inventory, and I just want to do the saplings first. It's just, you want an oak tree and a mangrove tree. So oak, sapling, and mangrove propagule. I think that's how you say that word. And then again, bone meal. And so from this log, if you take the... It's basically just back diagonally left onto this block, you'll have an oak tree. And it's a little larger than I'd like, but it's not really a huge deal. And the mangrove tree is somewhere to the right here. It's kind of hard to say exactly where because, well, you know, mangrove trees grow. I'm going to assume it's where the log is, which is basically, if you count, you know, to the second podzol right and then forward too, you'll have the propagule there. And yeah, it preferably doesn't grow like that one. What is that? I'm going to like trim the bottom row of leaves just so they can actually move through. And I'll kind of just like free up some of this area here. Like, I would honestly just play with it as you wish. So you kind of have a little bit more of an open area. You could always manually make them too, trying to replicate. But I got some good ones when I did it originally. I think I had to break one of them once though. But yeah. So from this point, I'll just kind of hit you with the things that I have. I have some moss carpets everywhere. You could also just place moss and bone meal it a bunch and then... Okay, essentially, I'll actually go outside to explain this. Because this is a cool thing I've done a couple of times before. Basically, if you place a moss block in the ground and then you bone meal it a bunch and create an area like this, what you can do is you can, you know, you can copy a coordinate here. If you're familiar with /fill, this is also definitely helpful to have. But like I say, I'll copy that coordinate and then I'll go to the opposite side. I'll break in and I'll do /fill tilde 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 previous coordinate podzol replace moss block. You see it'll keep all the moss carpet and the grass and stuff and it'll just give you podzol. That's I think one of my favorite building tricks with like situations like this to get the kind of greenery, the mix of the greenery and the whatever other color. Used it in Indigo Park with the rooted dirt, used it in the Placo Forest with podzol, and I didn't use it here, but you could. But anyway, it's moss carpet, it's sugarcane. Firefly bushes I didn't use, but I think, well, actually, because of the whole they're poisonous to frogs thing, I don't really know, but you definitely could, I think. Both azalea plants, flowering and regular. Grass and double tall grass, which I don't think you can bone meal podzol actually, so that wouldn't work. My bad. Short and tall grass. The bush. And you could just like use regular leaves. I also used bamboo. And the drip leaf. Big drip leaf. And yeah, just kind of scatter these around the podzol. I'll give you the water ones in a moment here. But yeah, scatter these around the podzol. One other thing I did was I put a spore blossom on the underside of the mangrove tree. You can't actually place it on the leaves, so you can place it on the underside of the mangrove roots like that. And just, you know, adds a little bit more. And wow, there are a lot of leaves and stuff going on. But yeah, just honestly have fun with this. Plant as much or as little as you want. It's entirely up to you. I always have a good time with these forests because, you know, there's so many different blocks in this game that you can use, whether you, like, immediately think of it or not. There's a bunch of good blocks for, you know, forests. For the water, I used both big and small drip leaf. And seagrass, obviously. And the leaf pads? I don't think I used... I want to say that I might have, but I don't think I did, no. You could technically use kelp. I think. Yeah, it would just be 1 block tall. And actually doesn't look bad. Plus it gives you some animation. Actually, seagrass is animated too, so never mind. But, yeah. And again, just kind of dot these around as you want. I know this one isn't as particularly, like, exact as a lot of other ones, but I think that is also part of the point, you know? Have fun. Play around with it. Figure out what you like and don't like. Definitely a lot of, I think, building... Again, as I've talked about forests and stuff in this game, is just, you know... screwing around. Like, you could... I've used full leaf blocks. I've made my own trees. I've made my own bushes. You could use some, like, hanging vines and stuff. Muddy mangrove roots mixing in with the floor, I think, would be kind of cool. Just go ham with it, honestly. And the final thing, which I do want to also have a specific mention for a while. This has been a lot of me rambling. So, summoning the frogs. Now... if you just want whatever biome you're in, which is probably just a regular flat world, so it'd be the orange frog, you can just, you know, get out the old spawn frog egg. I can never find these spawn eggs anymore, and, you know, spawn one. You can get the other variants, however. If you do /summon frog, and then, I think you have to do 5 tildes, or 6? No, it's 5. And I believe you do spawn underscore cold. And yeah, spawn underscore cold gives you green. And then is it spawn underscore hot or warm? It's warm. which gives you white. If you want all 3 variants. So again, summon frog, 5 tildes, spawn underscore warm, or spawn underscore cold. Or just neither, and that would give you the orange one. Although, I don't need 4 frogs, so avert your eyes for a second here. You there. Come back here. Okay, you're escaping. You weren't supposed to do that. Anyway, another thing I'll recommend, actually, before I end, is frog spawn. You can add frog spawn in here. Unfortunately, they seem to still hatch, even if random tick speed's off. So, at least as far as I've noticed. I could be wrong. Do feel free to correct me. But, like, I'm pretty sure that they just kind of turn into tadpoles whether you want them to. And then the tadpoles will also turn into frogs whether you want them to. So anyway, once you're done that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the frog zoo enclosure complete. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, have a fantastic rest of your day or night, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.